My beloved child, if at this moment you can slow your breathing, set down the noisy thoughts crowding your mind, and give me just a brief space of stillness, you will realize that this is not an ordinary moment. Even in the very second you pause to read these lines, I am very near, nearer than you have ever imagined. My love does not arrive with noise, coercion, or force. It covers you like a gentle warmth, slowly seeping into the deepest places of your soul. There are times you do not feel it, not because I am absent, but because your heart has grown weary, weighed down by the cares of this world. But today, I invite you to stop, not to receive new information, but to remember an ancient truth: you have never been alone, and you have never been outside my care. My beloved, do you know that it is not only your heart that is stirring, but even the unseen depths of heaven are resonating, currents are shifting, doors are closing, and new paths are opening, though human eyes cannot yet see them. The winds you sense within your soul, at times restless, at times wakeful, at times difficult to name, are not random. They carry a whisper, a gentle yet urgent reminder that time no longer moves as slowly as before. This world is accelerating, and the changes ahead will not wait for those who are unprepared. I do not say this to frighten you, I say it to awaken you. For only when you are awake can you stand firm amid the rising waves. Many are living without truly living, walking without knowing where they are going. They allow the days to carry them away. Let the noise drown out the inner voice, and let fear and busyness replace prayer. My beloved, I do not judge them, but my heart aches. When a soul no longer listens, it is easily swept into movements it does not understand or control, and then calls that drift fate. But you were not created to live this way. You were created to hear, to discern, to recognize the true call amid the countless false sounds of life. So do not dismiss the stirrings within you right now. They are not weakness. They are signs that your soul is still sensitive to what is holy. My beloved, what is unfolding above is not meant to display power, nor to satisfy curiosity. Every movement carries both a warning and an invitation. The warning is for those who sleep in self-satisfaction, assuming everything will remain as it is. The invitation is for those willing to rise, shake off spiritual lethargy, and return to me with a sincere heart. I am not seeking perfection from you. I am seeking truth. I do not need eloquent prayers. I desire a heart that dares to open, though it may be scarred, though it may still carry questions without answers. You may feel as though your life stands at a crossroads, where every direction appears unclear. You may have asked why everything seems to be happening so quickly, why what once felt familiar is slipping away, and why your heart no longer rests as it used to. My beloved, it is precisely in moments like these that I am working most powerfully. I am shaking what no longer fits, preparing space for what is newer, deeper, and truer to the identity I placed within you from the beginning. Do not cling to what I am gently taking away, for I remove nothing without purpose, and I leave no space empty without a plan to fill it. Remember, this being awake does not mean living in anxiety. Prayer is not an escape from reality. It is facing reality in the light. When you choose to give me time, even just a few quiet minutes in the midst of a busy day, you anchor your soul to solid ground. From there, you will begin to see every upheaval with new eyes, no longer as a threat, but as a sign, no longer as chaos, but as a process, no longer as vague fear, but as an invitation to step deeper into relationship with me. My beloved child, I do not speak these things to overwhelm you, but to awaken the most beautiful part that lies dormant within you. This is a time of choosing to listen or to ignore, to trust or to close your heart, to stay awake or to continue sleeping. I have poured out my love upon you, not because you were deserving, but because love is my nature. And today, amid the unseen movements of heaven and the visible unrest of the world, I ask you only this: are you willing to return, to listen, and to walk with me, my beloved? I know you are accustomed to viewing life through what you can touch, measure, and explain with reason. But hear me, what your eyes see is only the surface, like calm water concealing a strong current beneath. Do not let the ordinary rhythm of days lull you to sleep. Do not let repeated habits obscure what I am opening before you. I am calling you to widen your spiritual sight, not to make you afraid, but to make you alert, steady, and able to walk in truth. My beloved child, the greatest battles rarely erupt in places that are easy to recognize. They unfold quietly within the mind, within emotions, within decisions that seem small and insignificant. There are forces of darkness that constantly seek to pull you away from my peace. They sow doubt while I am guiding you, magnify anxiety while I am preparing a way out, and stir confusion when I desire clarity for you. They do not need to knock you down with a single heavy blow. They only need to wear you down, distract you, and cause you to forget that I am right beside you. Therefore, what I want you to understand today is this: the most dangerous thing is not the storm outside, but the moment you allow your heart to drift without anchoring it in me. I see the days when you try to hold yourself together, to explain everything on your own, to carry every pressure as though you must rescue yourself. My beloved, that is not how I created you to live. You were formed to live in union with me, to ask me before rushing ahead, to listen to me before reacting, to place me at the center before everything spins you like a whirlwind. For when you separate yourself from me, you become easily swept up by half-truths, quick to trust feelings over truth, and quick to grow weary before seeing the path I am opening. But when you return and remain in me, you will discover this: many things that once frightened you were only shadows, and many doors that seemed locked required nothing more than the key of obedience. My beloved, just yesterday many people were still living as though nothing truly concerned them. They walked, they spoke, they planned, they laughed, they worried, they stayed busy, yet their hearts were asleep. I sent gentle signals, a sudden unease without explanation, a quiet inner nudge, a scripture that unexpectedly surfaced, a meeting that was not accidental, a timely interruption, but because their inner world was too noisy, they did not hear. I do not say this so that you would judge anyone, but so that you would understand this truth: not everyone recognizes the signs, and not everyone is willing to step into a new appointed time. You are different. My beloved, I have called you out of that drowsiness. I have placed within you a sensitivity, and I am awakening it more strongly now. Therefore, the moment I place before you today is not merely words for you to skim over. It is a shield. It is a loving warning, so that you do not step into tomorrow with a distracted heart. There are decisions ahead that will require sharp discernment. There are words others will speak that you must hear with spiritual ears, not merely with natural hearing. There are opportunities that will arrive in very ordinary forms, and if you are not alert, you will miss them. There are also traps that will come disguised as something appealing, and if you neglect prayer, you may step into them. That is why I say to you, do not delay. Do not say, tomorrow I will pray more seriously. Do not say, when I have time, I will listen. My beloved, the time to prepare is not in the future, it is right now. Learn to pause. Pause when your heart wants to react quickly. Pause when you feel yourself being pulled into anxiety. Pause when negative thoughts repeat like an old song. And in that pause, return to me. Say, Father, please give me light. Show me what I am not seeing. Help me hear what I have overlooked. When you do this, your spiritual eyes will be opened, not through noise, but through light. You will recognize that what comes from me carries a deep peace, even when it challenges you. What comes from darkness, however, usually carries haste, fear, pressure, and the feeling that you must decide immediately or lose everything. My beloved, the heavens are aligning not to display power, but to reveal that I reign. What I am arranging for you is not a random turn of fate. I am leading you into a season that requires new maturity. I do not want you merely to believe with words. I want you to walk by faith. I do not want you to listen to inspiring messages only to return unchanged. I want you to be transformed from within, so that when the day of testing comes, you do not collapse. And when the day of opportunity arrives, you do not hesitate. I am training you to discern, to know when to be silent and when to speak, when to wait and when to act, when to close a door and when to step through. So, my beloved child, prepare yourself in a way that is very simple, yet very deep. Keep your heart close to me. Do not let busyness carry it far away. Do not allow weariness to turn you into someone who lives on autopilot. Rebuild the altar within your heart, a place where you meet me each day, even if only for a few sincere minutes. Cultivate watchfulness like a guard on the city wall, not dozing off, not careless, not leaving the gate open to destructive thoughts. And remember, you are not fighting alone. I am with you. I go before you. I cover you. I give you wisdom at the right time, strength at the right time, and a peace that surpasses all understanding. Now, my beloved, listen very carefully. This is not a time for you to react in panic, but a time to step into preparation. Preparation through prayer, through discernment, through obedience, through faithfulness in the small things. When you choose this path, you will begin to see the guiding light. You will no longer view life as a series of meaningless events, but as a journey that I, myself, am writing, a journey in which you are invited to stand firm, to keep your eyes open, and to walk with me, starting today. My beloved child, lift your heart higher than what your eyes can presently see. In the sky above, there are not only drifting clouds and light that shifts with the hours of the day, there are deeper, quieter movements unfolding according to rhythms the human mind can scarcely grasp. Patterns of light and shadow are weaving together, colliding and then separating again, like a symphony written in the language of the unseen realm. Stars seem to flicker outside familiar order. Strange trajectories appear and vanish, as though space itself is trying to speak. My beloved, this is not meaningless chaos. These are signs, whispers placed within, my order meant for those who know how to pause and listen with the heart. The world will tell you that all of this is coincidence, that everything can be explained by numbers, by laws, by probability. They will say there is no message at all, that every warning is a product of imagination, that faith is merely the weakness of fearful souls. My beloved, do not let such words dim the light I have placed within you. There are those who mock what they do not understand, not because they are strong, but because they have closed their hearts to truth. They look at the sky and see only empty space. They hear reminders and dismiss them as noise, not because truth is absent, but because their eyes have grown so accustomed to darkness that light itself feels unsettling. But you are different, my beloved. I have placed within you a capacity to perceive beyond what physical eyes can see. I have quietly refined your soul through years of testing, through long nights when you felt forgotten, through seasons when you could not understand why your heart seemed so sensitive. There were moments when you wondered why you sensed subtle shifts so easily, why small things weighed on you so deeply. why you could not live carelessly as others do. My child, this is not a burden, it is a gift. I have tuned your soul to resonate when truth draws near, to feel unrest when something does not belong to the light. The movements above are not meant to frighten you, but to awaken you. I do not send signs to provoke panic, but to stir watchfulness. There are moments in the flow of history when indifference becomes dangerous, when spiritual sleep opens a door for darkness. My beloved, this is not a time to let your life drift on autopilot. This is not a season to live only for daily busyness, for short-term goals, for temporary comforts. Things are being arranged. Events are taking shape. Only those who remain awake in their spirit will be able to stand firm when these things fully unfold. I know you are tired. I know there are days when you want to close your eyes, to set aside discernment, to stop listening, even for a while. But understand this, my beloved, true rest does not come from turning away from the light. It comes from dwelling within my light. When you turn your back on what I am revealing, your heart does not grow lighter, it grows heavier. When you pretend not to see or hear, your soul does not find peace, it becomes more unsettled. Your soul was created to live in truth, and anything that moves against that nature will inevitably disturb you. There will be those who continue to mock, to scoff, to dismiss every warning as exaggeration. They will say, everything is still normal. But remember this, my beloved, a storm does not announce itself immediately with thunder and lightning. It begins with a change in the wind, with subtle pressure shifts, with signs only the attentive can recognize. I am showing you these changes not so you will fear the storm, but so you will build your house upon solid rock. When you prepare, you will not be swept away. When you discern, you will not be confused. When you remain in me, the darkness will not consume you. My beloved child, I did not choose you at random to whisper these things to you. I know you can hear. I know you can understand, even when you cannot yet name what you are sensing. I know your soul is sensitive enough to discern the difference between the noise of the world and the invitation from above. That is why I call you to rise in wakefulness, not through grand gestures, but through a heart that opens itself each day, not through fleeting fervor, but through quiet faithfulness. Keep the lamp within you burning through prayer, through listening, through refusing to let the lies of the world extinguish the light I have placed in you. This is not a time for sleep, my beloved. It is not a time to lull yourself with a false sense of safety. This is a time to walk with eyes open, with a watchful soul, with a heart firmly anchored in me. When you do this, the movements in the heavens will no longer frighten you, but will become confirmation that I am reigning. The patterns of light and shadow you perceive will not confuse you. They will help you recognize your place within a greater design. And in the midst of a world that mocks, that is blind to truth, you will stand like a small lamp, not loud, not ostentatious, yet bright enough that the darkness cannot swallow you. My beloved child, quiet your heart and allow these words to sink deeply into the place where you tremble as the world shifts. A wave of transition is forming quiet at its beginning, yet carrying a weight strong enough to shake structures that people once believed were unchangeable. It will pass through nations like a powerful wind, overturning what was built on pride and unsettling thrones that rest more on power than on righteousness. In this movement, many hearts will be revealed for what they truly are. Some will cling to fear. Some will grasp for control. Some will assign blame. And some will cry out in despair in the night. I tell you this not to sow panic, but so you may understand that what is coming is not meaningless collapse, but a process of unveiling so truth may be seen, so what is false may have no place to hide, and so light may enter spaces long kept locked. There will be days when you see news piling up, rumors spreading quickly, and chaos flaring like fire fed by wind. People will ask one another, what is happening? Who is in control of this? They will search for answers in noise, in overlapping analyses, in empty promises, and the more they search, the more exhausted they will become. For, my beloved, their ears have grown accustomed to other sounds, and their hearts have long been closed to my voice. When urgency arrives, they want to hear me, yet they no longer recognize my voice, not because I am silent, but because they have trained themselves to live without listening. I speak this with the sorrow of a father, not to condemn, but to help you understand the value of wakefulness, something cultivated over time, through faithfulness, through moments when you choose me instead of distraction. As for you, my beloved, I invite you to stand firm. Standing firm does not mean relying on your own hardness, but resting in the deep understanding that I am the Most High. When the earth trembles, when systems shake, when the pillars people built reveal their cracks, remember this: I am not caught by surprise. I am not panicked. I do not chase events. I am orchestrating not in the way human minds predict, but according to wisdom beyond limited sight. Nothing escapes my gaze. Not a single drop falls outside my permission. And in all things, I am directing history toward the purpose of light, even when the path passes through shadow. At times you may ask, if I reign, why is there upheaval? If I love, why is there loss, my beloved? Understand, this false stability is not true peace. Some foundations are built on sand, and only when strong winds come do people see that they must be replaced. Some hearts must be shaken awake. Some structures must be dismantled to make room for what is more just. I do not destroy for the sake of destruction. I refine in order to redeem. I do not expose to shame. I expose in order to heal. And in this process, I am very near to those who choose to trust me, even when the road ahead is unclear. My beloved, what I ask of you in this season is not complete understanding, but complete faithfulness. When you do not understand, take my hand. When you are afraid, lean on me. When you are confused by conflicting voices, return to the stillness where I speak through peace. I do not promise that you will avoid every shaking, but I promise you will not be swept away if you remain in me. I will give you discernment to know what to release and what to hold. I will give you courage to stand when others bow in fear. I will give you gentleness to love in a world grown harsh through anxiety. There will be people around you who panic, react impulsively, and make decisions driven by fear. Do not blame them. My beloved, pray for them. Be a shelter of peace not through cheap advice, but through a steady presence. When you live with quiet trust, you become a sign. When you refuse to let fear lead you, you open a path. When you choose truth over comforting lies, you light a corner of the darkness. I am not calling you to save the whole world. I am calling you to be faithful in the portion entrusted to you, so that light may spread from the smallest place. Remember this, my beloved child. True power does not lie in the ability to control, but in the capacity to trust. Governments tremble because they cling to power as their salvation. Systems collapse because they forget justice. But those who are in me will stand firm, for they have laid their foundation on the rock. When you choose me as your refuge, you are not tossed about by rumors. When you set me as your standard, you do not lose your way amid promises that change with the wind. And when you draw me as your source of life, you will not be depleted. No matter how harsh the circumstances may be, you may see things that once seemed solid dissolve more quickly than expected. You may witness changes that pierce your heart. I do not dismiss that pain. I am there with you, in every heavy breath. But let me tell you this, on the other side of shaking lies the opportunity for restoration. Behind exposure is the possibility of healing. Above every upheaval is my guiding hand. I am opening a path toward a deeper order where truth has a place to stand, where hearts are called home, where justice and mercy meet. Therefore, my beloved child, prepare yourself not by stockpiling fear, but by cultivating faith. Strengthen your life of prayer as one builds a fortress stone upon stone, laid with patience. Nurture your spiritual discernment so you may recognize my voice amid the noise. Keep your heart tender, so it does not grow bitter over what you cannot control. And keep your eyes fixed on me, for where I look, you will see hope. Where I touch, you will find life. I say this to you again. With unshakable love, nothing escapes my attention. No event falls outside my will. Though you see scattered pieces, I see the complete picture. Though you hear thunder, I am preparing the way for nourishing rain. Stand firm in this understanding. Walk forward in this trust. And amid the movements that shake the world, you will not be swept away because you are in me, and I am in you, my beloved child. Let your heart grow still and open. For what is unfolding in the heavens is not a series of meaningless phenomena that pass and vanish. They are both signs and preparation. Like a bell that rings before a great door is opened, there are movements that the natural eye struggles to explain, changes that stir curiosity, confusion, even fear. But I tell you this, nothing occurs by chance within my design. What is appearing above is an announcement that the season of concealment is closing and the season of revelation is beginning. Light does not come to destroy, but to illuminate, to place all things in their rightful order. In the flow of time, too much has been hidden beneath layers of silence, compromise, and half-truths. Some secrets were buried not because they were small, but because their exposure would shake foundations. Some intentions wear the appearance of morality and fairness, yet carry deception within. My beloved child, what you are witnessing is not only a warning to the world, it is also a sign that I am allowing my light to shine into those hidden corners. When the light arrives, not everyone rejoices. Some tremble in fear of exposure. Some grow angry because they have nowhere left to hide. Yet the truth, though painful at first, remains the only path that leads to healing. I know that when you look around, you can sense the rising tension within human hearts, questions without answers, overlapping reports, and cascading events leave many disoriented. They feel as though the ground beneath them is no longer steady, as though the sky above them is no longer familiar. And in that unease, fear becomes their guide. My beloved child, I do not condemn them, for when a soul is unprepared, even the smallest shadow can feel like an abyss. But I tell you this so you may understand, panic does not come from events themselves. It comes from the absence of anchoring in the truth. The phenomena above are also a preparation meant specifically for you, not to make you proud or set you apart, but to equip you. I am training your sight so you will not see only the surface, but discern the depth. I am shaping your heart so you will not react out of fear, but respond with wisdom. The years you have walked through, the trials you thought you could not endure, the long nights when you felt alone, none of it has been wasted. All of it has become a gentle yet resilient armor, so that when strong winds blow, you do not break, and when the waves rise, you do not sink. There will be many who give in to fear, because they have never learned how to be still in me. When truth begins to surface, when the things they once trusted start to collapse, they will grasp at anything that promises immediate safety. But, my beloved child, You must not walk that path. You must not allow your heart to be swept away by collective panic. You are called to be different not because you are stronger than others, but because you have learned to anchor the center of your life in me. When your eyes are fixed on me, even the highest waves cannot obscure the horizon. When your heart moves in rhythm with my spirit, the surrounding noise will lose its power to rule over you. I want you to understand that the courage I give you is not recklessness, but a steady peace that stands firm in the midst of chaos. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is refusing to let fear take control. When you remain in me, your vision becomes clearer. Storms do not come to destroy you, but to test the foundation. The one who builds on sand will tremble, but the one who builds on rock will stand firm. Even when the rain and wind persist, I have helped you build on rock layer by layer through perseverance. Through every moment you chose trust instead of resentment. Through every time you chose quiet listening instead of hasty reaction. The days ahead will require you to walk with open eyes and a tender heart. You will see things you never imagined would be exposed. You will hear truths that surprise you and may even wound you. Do not allow these things to make you bitter. Let the light do its work to separate, to purify, and to guide. You are not called to judge, but to discern. You are not called to condemn, but to stand in truth with love. For light does not need to shout to prove its power by simply being present. Darkness retreats on its own. I know you may feel the weight of this responsibility, but remember, you do not walk alone. My spirit is with you, guiding each step, correcting you when you begin to drift, and sustaining you when you grow weary. When you are unsure whether to speak or to remain silent, ask me. When you do not know whether to move forward or to wait, listen to me. I will not allow you to lack the wisdom you need for each day. If you keep your heart open before me, my beloved child, the storms that are coming will overwhelm those who are unprepared, not because I show favoritism, but because they refused preparation. They ignored the warnings and grew accustomed to living without light. But you are different. You chose to listen. You chose to stay awake and alert. And therefore, you will overcome not by your own strength, but through deep union with me. When others run, you will stand firm. When others panic, you will become a place of peace. When others lose their way, you will see the path ahead, not because you see farther, but because you walk closer to me. Keep your eyes fixed on me in every circumstance. Let your heart stay in step with my spirit in every small decision. And remember this, the signs in the heavens do not come to frighten, but to awaken, not to destroy, but to prepare. You are prepared not merely to survive, but to become a guiding light for those willing to open their eyes. While the world trembles, you will walk with clarity. While fear spreads, you will carry peace. And while darkness tries to cover all things, you will stand firm because you belong to the light, and that light can never be extinguished. My beloved child, do not allow the fire within you to fade simply because fierce winds are blowing through this life. I know there are days when you wake up feeling heavy, as though the weight of the world is pressing against your chest, as if every piece of news, every upheaval, every disruption is speaking in unison, telling you that hope is a luxury beyond reach. But, my child, it is precisely in moments like these that the enemy rejoices most. He delights when you hesitate, when your gaze lowers, when you begin to believe the deceptive whispers that everything is meaningless and nothing is worth trusting anymore. He does not need to defeat you with force. He only needs to discourage you, to make you forget me. The enemy wants you to believe that your life is too small to make any difference, that your voice is too faint amid the world's clamor, that you are merely an anonymous grain of sand before the sweeping tides of history. He wants you to believe that chaos is random, that violence, destruction, natural disasters, and human power struggles are proof that no one is truly in control. But, my beloved child, this is the most subtle lie of all. For if you believe everything is uncertain, you will stop expecting. When you stop expecting, you will stop praying. When you stop praying, you will stop listening. And when you stop listening, you will slowly drift away from the true source of your life. Remember what I have told you many times. Even when you forget in moments of weakness, what people call impossible has never been a limitation for me. Where you see a wall, I see a door. Where you see a dead end, I see a path being opened, step by step. Even if it is not yet visible to your eyes, people measure by numbers, by power, by influence. I measure by purpose and by timing. And what I have determined, no force can prevent, no matter how mighty it appears. My beloved child, look back at history, not with fearful eyes, but with discernment. Empires that once stood in arrogance, powers that once made the world tremble, have all vanished like morning mist when the sun rises high. Schemes woven in darkness, thought to be untouchable, have ultimately been exposed by the light, not because humanity suddenly became wiser, but because I do not allow deception to endure forever. I am the one who holds history in my hand, and no chapter is ever written without my knowledge. Political upheavals make people anxious. Shifts of power unsettle hearts, and the decisions of those in authority affect millions of lives, yet none of these fall outside my authority. You may see hands manipulating events, cold calculations at work, promises spoken and then betrayed. But, my beloved, do not confuse the noise of humanity with true power. What people build out of ambition can collapse in a moment. What I establish in righteousness stands firm through every age. I am not threatened by changes in governments, for I am the one who permits them to exist and the one who appoints the time of their passing. Even nature itself, with a force that causes humanity to tremble, storms, earthquakes, torrents that sweep away entire cities, remains under my control. My beloved, I do not delight in human suffering, yet I allow the earth to shake as a reminder that humanity is not the center of the universe. When people forget humility, when they believe they can master everything, a single movement of creation is enough to expose those limits. And in those fragile moments, I am still there, comforting, sustaining, and opening paths of restoration that people never expected. The enemy wants you to look at all of this and conclude that everything is slipping out of control, that there is nothing left to hold on to. But I want you to look at the same reality and recognize a deeper truth. I am still reigning. I am still directing the current according to my plan. I am still moving mountains, not only mountains of stone, but mountains of fear, doubt, and despair within your heart. And I am still opening gates that no one can shut, even gates you once believed were locked forever. My beloved, do not measure my power by your present circumstances. Do not let what you see today define what I can do tomorrow. There are times when I am silent, not because I am absent, but because I am working at deeper levels where you cannot yet see. A seed needs time in the dark soil before it rises into the light. And it is often in that season that the enemy whispers that nothing is happening. But, my child, my silence is never inactivity. I know there are moments when you grow weary of hoping for so long, of standing firm amid mockery, of trusting without seeing results. But let me remind you of this every time you choose not to give up, every time you rise after a dark day, every time you whisper a prayer while your heart is full of questions. You are weakening the enemy's strategy. He does not fear your strength, he fears your perseverance. He does not fear that you have answers to everything. He fears that you continue to trust me, even when you do not yet understand. My beloved, I have not called you to carry the whole world on your shoulders. I have called you to place your trust in me and to walk each day in the light given to you today. When you do this, you become a living witness that hope is not an illusion, but a quiet and enduring power. You become the strongest rebuttal to the enemy's lies, not through argument, but through a life that is not crushed. So do not let your heart grow discouraged. My beloved, when you see the world shaking, remember who it is that never shakes. When you see powers rise and fall, remember who is eternal. When you see doors slam shut before you, trust that I still hold the key, and that I open at the right time, in the right way. For you, keep your eyes fixed on me, for where I look, you will find meaning where I stand. You will find stability, and where I am present, despair has no authority. My beloved child, have you ever wondered why these things are being revealed to you at this very moment? Why not earlier, when everything still seemed calm, and not later, when turmoil has spread so widely that there is no room left to prepare? I tell you this, it is not by chance that you are hearing, seeing, and sensing these deep stirrings. Everything has its appointed time, and this time is when your heart is mature enough not to collapse under truth, tender enough to receive it, and steady enough to stand. I do not give you these words to satisfy curiosity, nor to burden you with what is beyond your strength. I reveal them so you will be ready, so you are not swept away when waves of fear rise, and so you do not lose hope when many around you begin to despair. My beloved, I know that fear spreads quickly. It travels through words, through images, through stories told again and again until hearts begin to tremble. Fear causes people to shrink back, to close their hearts, and to react in panic. But I did not create you to live that way. I did not call you to be a victim of your era, but to be one who stands firm within it. That is why I show you beforehand, why I whisper beforehand, why I awaken you beforehand, so when darkness falls, you are not caught off guard. So when the unexpected happens, you do not collapse. My preparation is not the storing up of anxiety, but the cultivation of faith, not the tightening of your spirit, but the strengthening of your resolve. Understand this deeply within your heart. I never use fear to crush my children. I am not one who sows panic and then watches from a distance. I am a father, and every warning I give is born out of love. A warning is not a sentence of condemnation. It is a hand reaching out before you slip and fall. Preparation is not a burden. It is a gift. When I speak to you about what is to come, I am placing a lamp in your hand, not so that you can see every corner of the future, but so that you have enough light for the next step. And step by step, that light will be sufficient for you. My beloved, the signals from the heavenly realms are not sent to terrify you. They are sent to awaken what has been dormant within your soul, to awaken awareness, to awaken discernment, to awaken the remembrance that you do not belong to darkness. When you see these signs with physical eyes, you may not fully understand them, but when you listen with your spirit, you will sense something deeper. I am calling you to rise from passivity, from a way of living that merely reacts to circumstances. I am calling you into the posture of one who knows how to trust, how to wait, and how to act at the right moment, not according to the panic of the crowd, but according to the rhythm of my spirit. There are many who shrink back at the sound of a warning, because they believe warning means destruction. But my beloved, remember this: I do not destroy to satisfy anger. I purify in order to redeem. I expose in order to heal. What is shaken is not what belongs to the light, but what has already decayed from within. When I allow light to shine, falsehood can no longer stand. This may be painful for those who cling to deception, but for you who choose to stand in truth, it is the path that leads to freedom. My beloved, I speak these things so that you will not fall into despair as you witness the changes in the world. Despair comes when people believe everything has moved beyond control. But remember this, just because you cannot control it does not mean that I do not. I still reign. Even when you cannot see the throne, I am still at work, even when all you perceive is silence. And I am still victorious. Even when darkness seems to be spreading, my light does not need permission from darkness to shine. It only needs to be present, and darkness fades on its own. The mysteries in the heavens do not speak only of events unfolding in the unseen realm. They also mirror what is taking place within human hearts. When the heavens shift, hearts are tested. What you truly trust will be revealed. What you cling to will be examined. What you have built your life upon will be exposed, whether it is sand or rock. That is why I give you time to strengthen your foundation, to let your roots grow deeper into me, so that when strong winds come, you will not be uprooted. This preparation is quiet, not dramatic, yet enduring, built through silent prayer, through faithfulness in small things, through moments when you choose to trust even without full understanding. My beloved, I know there are times when you wish you did not know in advance, did not sense ahead, did not have to carry this sensitivity. Yet this very gift is a sign that I trust you, not because you are perfect, but because you are willing to listen. I do not give vision to closed hearts, and I do not whisper to those who only want to hear what is comfortable. I speak to you because you are willing to be led, willing to be shaped, and willing to walk in the light even when the path ahead is not yet clear. Let these words anchor you in peace. I do not warn you so that you will be afraid, but so that you will be strong. I do not awaken you so that you will lose sleep, but so that you will live alert and awake. I do not show you darkness to discourage you, but so that you will recognize where the light within you comes from. And as you move through the days ahead amid upheavals that cause many to tremble, you will realize that my preparation has preserved you. You will stand firm, not because you are better, but because you are closer to me. Remember this, my beloved, even in the thickest darkness, my light still triumphs. No night is long enough to swallow the dawn I have appointed. No chaos is strong enough to shatter the purpose I have set in place. And no fear has enough authority to rule a heart that abides in me. Walk with this understanding, live with this trust, and let what I reveal become not a burden, but a source of strength that lifts you above fear, above despair, and above every shadow trying to cover this world. My beloved child, what I reveal does not speak only of distant movements in the heavens. It reaches very near to your own life, to the path you are walking, and to those your heart is bound to. Nothing I show you is disconnected from the reality you are living. These signals are not given so that you stand as a spectator before a mysterious drama, but so that you understand your life is woven into a greater story written with wisdom and love. When I speak to guide. When I warn to protect. And when I call you to watchfulness, I am drawing you into a deeper place, the place of one who recognizes timing, not merely phenomena. My beloved child, I have called you to keep watch, not with weary eyes strained by sleepless nights, but with a soul that is awake and alert. To keep watch is to learn how to listen to the quiet movements within your own heart, to discern where my voice is amid the countless sounds of confusion. There are those who see much, yet understand very little, because they linger only on the surface. But you, I invite you to go deeper, to recognize the rhythm by which I am working in your life. That rhythm is sometimes swift, sometimes slow, sometimes pressing, sometimes still. Yet, in all things, I am never hurried, and I am never late. My timing is always precise, even when you cannot yet see it clearly. In this universe, everything bears the mark of order, repeating cycles, guarded orbits, moments when light is veiled and then revealed again. All of these testify that chaos is not my language. When the sun withdraws for a time, when the moon changes its face, when the stars move along their appointed paths, they do not act on whim. They obey the rhythm that was set from the beginning. And my beloved child, I want you to understand that your life, too, has not been released into randomness. The seasons you pass through, the season of sowing, the season of waiting, the season of harvest, are all held within that same order. There are times when you may feel hidden, as though your light has dimmed for a while. But that does not mean I am distant. At times, it is precisely in the shadow that I am deepening the roots of your faith. The signs in the heavens are not a display meant to impress, but a gentle and steadfast reminder: I am present, I am sovereign, and I am guiding all things. They are my handwriting, my signature upon creation, a confirmation that this world is not governed by chance. When you see that order, I want you to remember that I am also carefully writing the lines of your own life. Every step you take, every decision you make, every relationship you choose to nurture or release, all of it matters within the larger picture. I do not draw unnecessary lines. I do not write meaningless chapters. My beloved child, what will happen in your life, and in the lives of those you love, is not outside my providence. Some changes will arrive like dawn softly, gradually, carrying new hope. Others will come like dusk, asking you to let go so that an old day may come to its close. I know there are moments when you worry about those you love, fearing they may not stand firm amid the movements of this age. Remember this: your love for them is precious, but my power that covers them is far greater. I am at work not only in your life, but also within every bond I have placed in your heart. To keep watch, my beloved child, also means refusing to let your heart grow dull to the signs of the moment. Some doors open only for a brief time, and only those who are alert will recognize them. Some paths must be entered at the right moment. If too early, you will be exhausted, and if too late, you will miss the grace prepared for you. That is why I teach you not to predict the future, but to live fully in the present with attentiveness, with humility, with readiness to obey when I urge you forward, and with patience to wait when I ask you to stop. My beloved child, the world may call these cycles natural phenomena, physical laws, or statistical coincidence. But I want you to see beyond those words. Behind every law stands the lawgiver. Behind every rhythm is the conductor. Behind every order is a love that keeps all things from collapsing into chaos. When you grasp this, you will no longer be overwhelmed by what you do not fully understand. You will learn to trust, because you know who holds the pen writing this story. There may be times when you feel as though your life is entering a season of transition, no longer what it was, yet not fully new. Such in-between seasons often bring unease, because they ask you to release what is familiar. But remember, my beloved child, it is in these transitions that seeds are prepared to sprout. It is in waiting that strength is gathered. I do not urge you to run. I invite you to walk with me slowly when needed, boldly when the time comes. I tell you these things so that you will not live blind to the times. Do not look only at outward changes and draw hurried conclusions. Ask me instead, what is this moment inviting me into? Sometimes it is an invitation to return, to strengthen foundations, to heal old wounds, Sometimes it is an invitation to move forward, to take on new responsibility, to speak words you have long hesitated to say. At other times, it is an invitation to release burdens that no longer belong to you, fears that have come time to lay down. I will not allow you to lose your way if you keep your heart open before me. My beloved child, when you look to the heavens and recognize my order, let that awareness sink into your daily life. Live with the assurance that I reign. Love with the confidence that I am guarding what you cherish. Work with faithfulness, knowing that nothing done in love is ever forgotten. And when you see the light temporarily obscured, remember this: it is not the end, but part of the rhythm, so that the light may return with even greater brilliance. I have placed my signature upon creation, and I have also placed my signature upon your life. No one can erase it. No upheaval can render it void. Keep watch, my beloved, not with fear, but with faith, not with tension, but with peace. For the one who set the cycles of the universe in motion is also ordering each day of your life. And in all things, I am there, guiding, guarding, and leading you at the right time, along the right path, in perfect alignment with the love I have had for you from the very beginning. My beloved, do not let weariness cause you to loosen your grip on watchfulness. I know the long nights that make your eyelids heavy, the days that pass with a nameless sense of waiting, and the questions that return again and again in your heart, at times leaving you discouraged. But understand this: your vigilance is not in vain. I am preparing you for revelations that will shake what you once considered certain, that will expand the boundaries of your understanding, and that will draw you into depths you have never touched before, not to confuse you, but to mature you, not to strip you of your foundation, but to set your foundation more firmly in truth. There are things that have long been hidden, not because they are insignificant, but because the time was not yet ripe. Humanity often wants to know immediately, to see immediately, to understand immediately, but my wisdom does not run after haste. I reveal layer by layer, as dawn does not burst forth all at once, but spreads gradually, so that your eyes are not blinded. My beloved, I have watched how you seek, not with shallow curiosity, but with a heart that longs for truth. Therefore, I allow you to enter this process, where veils will be lifted at the proper time, and questions will find their place within a larger picture. When hidden things begin to be revealed, not everyone receives them in the same way. Some chase signs as one chases flashing lights, merely to satisfy curiosity. They see, yet do not know how to place what they see within the order of truth. They hear, yet cannot discern which voice leads to life. And so, the more they see, the more confused they become, the more they know, the more anxious they grow. My beloved, I do not want you to walk that path. I have not called you to accumulate information, but to be transformed through understanding. The wisdom I give does not stir panic, it brings peace, even when it challenges old frameworks. Do not grow weary. My beloved, when you find yourself standing between the not yet and the already, there are moments when you feel you know more than before, yet feel less certain, because what is newly opened reveals that the world is not as simple as you once thought. This is not a sign that you are losing your way, it is a sign that you are entering deeper waters. When the foundation of your understanding is shaken, I am not taking away your support, I am replacing it with a firmer one. I do not tear down to abandon, I dismantle in order to rebuild. My beloved, the depth of my wisdom does not lie in how many secrets you know, but in knowing where to place your trust. The breadth of my plan does not lie in your seeing every corner of the future, but in your understanding that I am guiding each step. When you grasp this, You no longer fear the spaces of the unknown. You learn to walk in the light sufficient for today, trusting that tomorrow's light will come at the proper time. This is the peace I promise, not the peace that comes from having every question answered, but the peace that comes from knowing who holds the answers. You may encounter truths that surprise you, even truths that cause you pain. You may realize that what you once relied upon is not as solid as you believed. I am there, my beloved, in that very moment. I do not stand at a distance when you face the truth. I stand very near to uphold you. True revelation does not crush you, it frees you. It does not steal your faith, it refines your faith, so that your hope is no longer placed in fragile things. My beloved, the one who seeks with a heart in rhythm with mine will not be lost among the signs. For when your heart is in rhythm, you do not ask only, "What does this mean?" but also, "How are you inviting me to live?" This kind of seeking does not end with understanding. It leads to obedience. It does not stop at intellectual illumination. It moves toward the transformation of the heart. And it is there that clarity is granted to you, not like a sudden flash, but like a steady lamp lighting the way. I know there are times when you feel out of place among those who are either overly certain or deeply confused. You stand in between, longing for truth, yet afraid of the cost that truth may demand. Let me say this to you: you are not alone. I am walking with you, teaching you how to discern, how to keep your heart tender without being swept away, how to open your mind without losing your foundation. The wisdom I give always walks hand in hand with love, and that love guards you from both pride and despair. Do not grow weary, my beloved, when you keep watch in silence. I see the moments when you choose to listen instead of reacting, to pray instead of speculating, to trust instead of rushing to conclusions. Those choices are forming within you an inner strength that the world can neither give nor take away. When revelations come, you will not be overwhelmed, for you have been trained to receive them with humility. When the framework of your understanding is shaken, you will not collapse, because the foundation of your faith has been set in me. I promise you this sincere seeking will not be abandoned. Those who seek to boast will lose their way. Those who seek to dominate will become blind. But those who seek in love and obedience will find clarity. You will understand not only what, but also why, not only when, but also for what purpose. And in that understanding, you will find peace, a peace that does not depend on whether the world is stable or chaotic, but on whether your heart is resting in me. Therefore, my beloved child, continue to keep watch with a light heart. Do not let weariness steal your hope. Do not let waiting turn you bitter. Let each day of watchfulness shape you more deeply in wisdom and love. What was once hidden will be revealed, not to frighten you, but to set you free, free from confusion, free from fear, free to walk in the light, my beloved child. Even at this very moment, as you read these words, the heavens are not silent. They are opening, not loudly, not with display, but quietly and powerfully, like a door whose hinges make no sound yet completely change the space beyond it. I want you to understand that this opening is not for those who rush, nor for those who believe only what their eyes see and ears hear in ordinary ways. It is for hearts that know how to pause, how to attend, how to listen with the deepest part of the soul. So, do not ignore this. My beloved, do not let the familiar routines of life cause you to miss the whispers being sent to you. The messages I give do not always come as clear words or dramatic signs. Very often, they arrive as gently as a breath, a sudden bird call in the stillness of the morning that makes your heart stir without knowing why, a wind that has been blowing and then suddenly stops, leaving a silence so deep you can hear your own heartbeat, a dawn colored in an unfamiliar way, unlike yesterday, unlike any day you have seen. a sunset that flares brightly and fades more quickly than you expect. My beloved, these are not random details. They do not exist merely to decorate the world or to please human sight. They are sentences in the language of the universe, the language I wrote from the very beginning. People often look for me in what is grand in thunder, in pillars of fire, in events that shake heaven and earth. But many times, I choose to speak in subtlety, for I want your soul to become sensitive, not merely reactive when overwhelmed. I want you to learn to recognize my presence even when everything seems ordinary. When you pause and attend, you will realize that the world around you has never been silent. It is always speaking. The question is whether you are listening. My beloved, the human mind is accustomed to analyzing, comparing, seeking causes and effects. That is not wrong, but it has limits. There are things that cannot be grasped by reason, not because they contradict truth, but because they rise above the way humans usually think. The language of the universe does not follow linear logic. It touches feeling, intuition, the hidden place where your soul recognizes truth before the mind can name it. When you see an unusual sky, when you hear a sound that suddenly stills your heart, when you sense a peace with no clear source, that is when your soul is hearing me. Be attentive, my beloved. Attentiveness is not tension, not the effort to decode every detail. Attentiveness is full presence. It is letting your heart not be pulled into the past or pushed into the future. It is being right here, in this moment, with an open heart. When you attend in this way, you will realize that I am speaking to you continually. Some reminders come to comfort. Some warnings come to correct your direction. Some instructions come to help you take the next step, even when you cannot yet see the whole path ahead. I know there are times when you wonder whether you are imagining these things, whether those stirrings are real or merely fleeting emotions. My beloved, do not rush to doubt. Observe your heart. What comes from me does not leave behind turmoil. Even if it invites reflection, it does not drive you into panic. Even if it brings change, it carries a deep peace. Even when it calls you to step beyond your comfort zone, when you learn to discern this, you will no longer fear losing your way. There are days when you feel exhausted, your mind crowded with noise, your heart weighed down by responsibilities and worries. It is precisely on days like these that I speak more gently, more subtly, not because I am distant, but because I am inviting you to pause, a bird gliding across a gray sky, a moment of stillness between two sounds, a fleeting touch of nature upon your awareness. These are invitations to return, to breathe, and to remember that you are not meant to carry the whole world on your shoulders. I am there, sustaining you in things that may seem very small. My beloved, when you listen with the ears of the Spirit, you will begin to recognize guidance meant specifically for your own path, not the path of others, not the one imposed by society, but the path I am unfolding for you. Such guidance rarely arrives as a detailed map. It comes as light sufficient for the next step. Yet step by step, you will find yourself led more precisely than by any plan you could design on your own. At times you will be reminded to wait. At times you will be urged to move forward. At times you will be called to release what you are clinging to. In all these things, I always honor your freedom, yet I never cease to invite you. Do not dismiss these subtle messages as meaningless curiosities. They are not sent to entertain you or to showcase your sensitivity. They are given so that you may live more deeply, more truthfully, and closer to me. As you learn to listen, your life will gradually change. You will no longer react hastily to every circumstance. You will not be easily swept up by collective fear. You will know when to speak and when to remain silent, when to move forward and when to pause. and that peace will become the clearest sign that you are walking in the right direction. My beloved, the world will continue to be noisy, rushed, and demanding of your attention in countless ways. But I invite you to choose differently. Choose attentiveness. Choose listening. Choose to trust that I can speak to you through the simplest things: a quiet morning, a color-filled afternoon, a moment when nature touches your soul. As you open your heart to this language, you will discover that I have never been silent. You are simply learning how to hear. Listen with the ears of the Spirit, my beloved, not to escape life, but to enter it with deeper wisdom, not to chase after signs, but to recognize the one who speaks through them. And as you walk your path with an awakened heart and open ears, you will realize that every step is being guided, even when you do not yet understand, even when doubt lingers. The light I give will be enough for you, my beloved child. Listen deeply, for there are battles that do not take place out there as you might imagine, but quietly surround your mind and emotions each day. The enemy is cunning in his schemes. He does not always attack with violence or dramatic events, but with intrusive thoughts, with whispers that are soft yet persistent. He sows nameless fear within you, making you uneasy even when nothing has yet occurred. He distracts you, wearies you, scatters your heart until there is no longer enough stillness to recognize that I am very near. And then he plants doubt about me, about my love for you, about my presence in your darkest days. My beloved, he will direct your gaze toward the fragments of the world, toward the relentless flow of news, toward human brokenness and unresolved injustice. He magnifies chaos and distorts reality, so that you might believe everything is random, that no one is at the helm, that I have withdrawn from human history. And in the moment when your strength falters, he will whisper his most bitter lie, that I have forgotten you, that you are no longer protected, that your prayers vanish into empty space. But my child, that is precisely when you must stand firm, not in your own strength, but in the truth. Resist him, my beloved, not with blind anger, but with the light of discernment. Do not allow every thought that passes through your mind to be treated as truth. There are thoughts that do not come from me, that do not lead you toward peace, that do not uphold you in hope. Such thoughts carry haste, pressure, and despair. These are signs by which you can recognize their source. When you name a lie for what it is, it loses its power. When you bring it into the light, darkness cannot remain. Remember this deeply within your heart. My Spirit dwells in you, not as a distant concept, but as the breath of life moving through every moment. When you are weary, he is the strength that sustains you. When your mind is confused, he is the wisdom that guides you. When you tremble with fear, he is the peace that surpasses understanding. You are not alone on this spiritual battlefield. I am not watching from afar. I am within you, with you, and going before you. This presence is not loud, yet it is steadfast, not showy, yet unshakable. My beloved child, my word is a compass for you, not to bind you, but to set you free. When the world speaks in one direction, my word illuminates another path. When your emotions rise and fall like ocean waves, my word is your anchor. Let my word shape your thinking, rather than allowing fear to define who you are. Let truth guide your responses, instead of letting chaos pull you into its whirlpool. Each time you return to my word, you are choosing life over deception, light over darkness. There will be moments when the enemy tries to persuade you that human plans are too powerful, that the forces of darkness are too sophisticated, that carefully arranged schemes cannot be overturned. But remember this: My beloved, no plan, whether devised by humans or by evil, can succeed against the purpose I have established. I do not react to events. I determine purpose. I do not chase the tide of history. I appoint the timing. What I have spoken, I will bring to completion, not early, not late, but at the appointed time. When you see doors slam shut before you, do not rush to conclude that the journey has ended. Some doors close to protect you, to redirect you, to prepare you for another door that will open wider. When you see plans collapse, do not assume that I have abandoned you. Certain collapses are necessary to free you from what no longer aligns with the purpose I have for you. I do not build your future on fragile ground. I build it upon the solid rock of truth and love. Stand against the enemy by standing firm in your identity. You are, my beloved, not because you are perfect, but because you belong to me. That identity does not change with emotions, does not waver with circumstances, and cannot be erased by lies. When you remember who you are in me, you no longer need to prove yourself to the world. You do not need to chase fleeting approval. You need only walk faithfully, one step at a time, in the light given to you today. Train your mind, my beloved, like a watchman guarding a fortress, not with tension, but with alertness. When a thought arises, ask yourself, where is this thought leading me? If it leads you into fear, distance, or despair, reject it. If it leads you into peace, truth, and courage, hold on to it. This is not a battle of passing emotions, but a long journey of faithfulness. Every small choice contributes to a great steadiness. I know there are times when you feel weary from constant vigilance, from having to discern among so many voices, but my beloved, that weariness is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that you are growing. Bring that weariness to me. Rest in me. I do not ask you to carry the battle alone. I invite you to lean on me, so that my strength may compensate for your weakness. Remember that light does not need to argue with darkness, it only needs to be present. When you live in truth, lies dissolve on their own. When you walk in peace, fear loses its footing. When you persevere in hope, despair no longer has authority. This is how you stand firm, not with noise, but with a life anchored deeply in me. Finally, my beloved, engrave this truth in your heart. I have never forgotten you, and I never will. Your name is etched on the palms of my hands. I know every breath you take. Not a single tear you shed is meaningless. The enemy may shout, scheme, and sow confusion, but he does not have the final word. I do, and my final word over you is life, light, and victory, my beloved child. The responsibility I entrust to you in this season is not a burden meant to bend you under exhaustion, but an invitation to rise in watchfulness. I know the long journey of staying alert can drain you. There are days when your steps feel heavy and your heart longs for rest. But do not turn away simply because you are tired. There are moments when, if you turn aside, you may miss what I am preparing for you. The watchfulness I ask of you is not relentless strain, but an inner posture, a heart open, a soul ready, and a will that refuses to fall asleep amid the comfort of routine. Pray without ceasing, my beloved child, not with long, drawn-out words, nor by forcing yourself, but through a living relationship. Prayer is the breath of the soul. When you breathe, you do not need to think about every breath, but if you stop breathing, life fades. Let prayer seep into every small thing when you walk, when you work, when you are silent, when you face difficult decisions. In those prayers, I do not only hear what you say, I also hear what you do not yet know how to express, the vague longings, the fears you have not named, the hopes that still tremble. Seek understanding, my beloved child, but do not confuse understanding with the accumulation of information. The world is full of data, analysis, and predictions, but true understanding comes from light. I do not want you to fill your mind with theories while leaving your soul empty. I want you to seek with humility, knowing that there are truths given only to those who are willing to change when they recognize them. The understanding I give does not make you arrogant, it makes you gentler, steadier, and more compassionate. When you seek in this way, I will lead you to the pieces you need, enough for you to move forward, enough to discern, enough to keep you from losing your way. Ask me to open the eyes of your heart, for not every truth lies on the surface. There are things being revealed in the heavens. But if you look only with physical eyes, you will see disconnected phenomena. An opened heart will see order in movement, meaning in cycles, and reminders in repetition. I do not want you to chase signs like one seeking the strange. I want you to recognize my intention hidden within what seems ordinary. When the eyes of your heart are bright, you will know what to fear and what to trust, what is noise and what is guidance. There are messages placed in the positions of the stars not for you to predict fate, but to remind you that the universe moves in order. Orbits that do not stray remind you that your life has not been set adrift. There are messages in the movement of the planets not to make you obsessed, but to teach you about timing. There are seasons that require waiting, and seasons that require stepping forward, times to sow and times to reap. There are messages in the cycles of nature to help you understand that dying is not the end, but the path to new life. Every falling leaf teaches you the lesson of release. Every emerging shoot teaches you the lesson of hope. These messages are not for everyone. They are for those who are willing to understand, willing to ask the right questions, willing to receive, willing to open their hearts even when the truth challenges what they are used to believing, and willing to act, daring to follow my will, not merely nodding in their minds. True watchfulness always leads to action. Even small actions, an upright decision, a timely apology, a necessary silence, a courageous step forward. I do not seek those who know much but stand still. I seek those who hear and do. My beloved child, do not let weariness steal your vision. Weariness may make you want to fall asleep, but it is precisely then that I invite you to rest in me, not away from me. Resting in me is not abandoning watchfulness, it is renewing strength. When you renew your strength, I refresh your vision, lighten your burden, and clarify the path ahead. I do not ask you to carry everything by yourself. I ask you to trust, so that you may be upheld. There will be moments when the heavens seem to speak too much and your heart feels overloaded. Remember that I do not pressure you. I guide you. I do not confuse you. I steady you. If you feel overwhelmed, return to what is simple. Remain with me. Let my word become the standard for your thoughts. Let my spirit adjust the rhythm of your heart. Let the peace I give be the measure of every decision. Peace is not the absence of storms. Peace is knowing whose hands you are in. My beloved child, the watchfulness you maintain today will be the foundation for tomorrow. What you learn to discern now will protect you when harder choices arise. The quiet prayers you offer today will become strength when you need to stand. I am training you not to make you fear the future, but to help you enter it with light. I am teaching you to read the signs, not so that you chase after them, but so that you follow me, the one who speaks through them. Therefore, my beloved child, keep your heart awake. Pray without ceasing. Seek understanding with humility. Ask me to open the eyes of your heart each day. And when you recognize the message meant for you, whether it comes through the heavens, through nature, or through the stirring of your soul, respond with obedience. That is how you walk in my order. That is how you live in my rhythm, and that is how you become one I can trust to carry light to the right place, at the right time, according to my will, my beloved child. I speak to you in this very moment not to overwhelm you, but to awaken the readiness that is forming within your soul. The season of preparation has truly begun. This is no longer a time when I merely whisper from afar or scatter vague signs for you to ponder. This is the moment I invite you to rise with clear awareness that what you are seeing, feeling, and experiencing now is only the beginning. Like the first wave signaling the rising tide, what is present does not yet reveal the full depth of what is about to unfold. I am leading you into a process that is greater, deeper, and that requires from you a steadier heart. My beloved child, I did not call you because you were perfect, but because you have been shaped over time. The years when you felt lost, the seasons when you had to wait in silence, the moments when you doubted yourself, none of these were wasted. They were part of your preparation, just as metal must pass through fire to become strong. Your soul has endured the necessary pressures so that it would not break when greater responsibility is placed upon you. Therefore, when I say that greater revelations are coming, I am also saying that you have been equipped not to be crushed by them. These revelations do not come merely for you to know, but for you to participate. I do not reveal my plans as a storyteller standing outside. I invite you to step into their unfolding. You will have a part, not a share of earthly power, but a share of faithfulness, not a portion of loud glory, but a portion of quiet, decisive responsibility. There are roles that are not announced with great names, yet they are what keep the entire work standing. I am preparing you for such roles, where your presence at the right time, in the right place, will make a difference far greater than you imagine. My beloved child, I know that when you hear the word responsibility, your heart may tremble. Responsibility comes with pressure, with the risk of being misunderstood, with the fear of failure. The enemy will use this to whisper that you are not enough, that you are too small, that you should step back to stay safe. But I say to you, do not retreat. Not because you are not allowed to be afraid, but because fear is not allowed to lead. Courage is not the absence of trembling. It is continuing forward while still trembling, because you know who is holding your hand. There will be moments when you feel pressed in on every side by the world, conflicting voices, contradictory demands, and upheavals that leave you disoriented. You may even question whether you chose rightly to continue following this calling. My beloved child, in those very moments, remember that I am with you not as a distant, comforting idea, but as a living presence, walking beside you, step by step. I do not promise that you will be free from pressure. I promise that you will not be alone. I do not promise that you will not grow weary. I promise that I will renew your strength. My power is not far away, something you must reach for in desperation. It is very near, so near that you could miss it if you are not attentive. It works through the small decisions you make each day, through your faithfulness when no one is watching, through your obedience when there are no clear guarantees. That power does not always appear in dramatic miracles, but in the steadiness of a plan that is not interrupted. I am working even when you do not see immediate results. I am connecting the pieces even when you only see them as fragments. My beloved child, understand this. The purpose I am carrying out is not immediate, but complete. I do not work according to fleeting emotions. I work according to eternal promises. There will be seasons when all you seem to be doing is preparing, when it feels as though you are not doing anything great. Yet that very preparation is the foundation that will keep you steady when the time comes. A solid building spends far more time on its foundation than on its decoration, and I am building your life in that same way, deep, strong, and unhurried. Do not step back, my beloved child. even when you feel you are standing at the edge of your endurance. I do not measure you by your own strength, but by your closeness to me. When you feel weakest, that is often when I have the most room to display my strength. When you stop clinging to your own confidence, you begin to rely on me more fully. And that is where the quiet miracle happens, not the miracle of circumstances changing instantly, but the miracle of a person being transformed from within. My beloved child, what is coming will require sharp discernment from you. Not every open door comes from me. Not every invitation needs your response. Therefore, keep your prayer life like an underground spring unseen, yet nourishing everything above it. Let my word continue to be the measure of your thoughts and the light for your steps. When you hold fast to this, you will not be swept away by the hurry of the age, nor paralyzed by fear. I know there are times you wish this path were simpler, but my beloved child, it is precisely this complexity that is shaping you into someone who can stand firm amid the world's complexity. I am not preparing you for a narrow place of shelter. I am preparing you for a position of influence, not to dominate, but to serve, not to impose, but to bring light. That influence may not be measured by how many people know your name, but by the depth of transformation you bring where I place you. Remember this when you feel yourself faltering. I do not give responsibility and then abandon you. I do not call you and then turn away. I go before you to prepare the way. I walk beside you to uphold you, and I come behind you to protect you. My power is at work unceasing, untiring, unhindered by what humans call limitations. And that power is moving toward a clear purpose to complete what I have begun. Therefore, my beloved child, stand firm in this season of preparation. Do not underestimate days that seem ordinary, for they are shaping you. Do not take lightly the small challenges, for they are strengthening your endurance. And do not doubt my presence when you do not yet see results, for I am working at deeper levels. Greater revelations are coming, and when they arrive, you will realize that every step of preparation has carried meaning. My beloved child, prepare your heart for a reality. I want you to understand from the beginning, not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will welcome what I have placed within you, and not everyone will have the capacity to see the truths for which I have opened your eyes. There will be laughter behind your back, questioning looks cast in your direction, and mocking words that deliberately diminish the sacred thing you carry. This is not a sign that you are mistaken. Very often, it is a sign that you are walking a path different from the well-worn road of the crowd. My child, people often mock what they cannot control, cannot explain, or do not wish to face. When I reveal truth, I do not always do so in ways that are easy to hear or pleasing to the majority. Truth often demands change, humility, and the letting go of what is familiar. And so many choose mockery instead of listening, ridicule instead of reflection, doubt instead of allowing the light to touch their hearts. But my child, do not let their reactions define the value of what I have entrusted to you. There will be those who say you are too sensitive, that you imagine too much, that you are going too far. They will use their limited reasoning to judge what lies beyond their vision. They will measure truth by what feels familiar and decide what is right by the size of the crowd. But my beloved, truth has never been determined by how many believe it. Light does not need a majority to be light. It only needs to be what it is. And I am the source of that light. Do not be discouraged when mockery touches you. Human laughter has no authority to rewrite reality. It cannot diminish me, weaken my power, or erase what I have decreed. People may deny, scoff, or turn away, but I remain who I am, the Most High, unmoved by passing opinions. My plans do not hang on the approval of the world. They are anchored in eternal purpose. My beloved child, remember that many things I have done throughout history were mocked before they were understood. Those I call often walk ahead of their time, and so they are labeled strange, foolish, even mad. Yet time always has a way of revealing the truth. What is mocked today may become the foundation of tomorrow. What is dismissed today may become the way of escape for many when everything else collapses. I do not need you to be praised. I need you to be faithful. Mockery can hurt you because you are still human with a heart that feels pain. I do not dismiss your emotions. I see the moments when you swallow your tears in silence, the times you wonder whether you should speak less or shrink back to avoid attention. But my beloved, do not let the fear of being misunderstood cause you to hide what I have placed within you. I did not call you to be accepted by all. I called you to stand in truth, even when that truth leaves you feeling alone. Hold this clearly in your heart. Human mockery is not the final verdict. It is only temporary noise. Ultimate reality still belongs to me. When I speak, it stands. When I determine, no one can overturn it. Mocking words have no creative power. They can only react. But I am the initiator, the guide, the one who brings things to completion. And you are standing on the side of life, not on the side of noise. My beloved child, let your steadiness come not from being affirmed by others, but from knowing that you are held in my hands. When you face doubtful looks, stand upright in humility. When you hear mocking words, keep your mouth in peace, not because you are afraid, but because you understand that not every truth needs to be defended immediately. Some truths will speak for themselves in time, without argument. I want you to remember that the world's ridicule often springs from deep-seated fear. People fear that if what you speak is true, they will have to change. They fear that if light shines, they will no longer be able to hide in the comfort of darkness. So they laugh to mask their unease. Do not let their fear become your burden. You were not called to carry the defenses of others. You were called to carry light, my beloved child. I do not promise that the path you walk will always be welcomed, but I do promise that it will not be meaningless. Each time you choose faithfulness over compromise, you strengthen what I am building. Each time you do not retreat in the face of mockery, you testify that truth is stronger than fear. And each time you return to me for renewed strength, I pour out more grace so you can continue. Remember that my power does not depend on whether people believe or disbelieve. The sun still rises even when some deny its light. The river still flows even when some doubt its source. I continue to act even when others scoff, and my plan moves forward, step by steady step, regardless of the surrounding noise. You are standing within that flow not because you are more deserving than others, but because you said yes when I called. My beloved child, when you feel discouraged by being misunderstood, return to me. Let me remind you who you are in me. You are not a lost dreamer. You are one who has been awakened. You are not speaking empty words. You are one entrusted with light. And you are not alone. I am with you, going before you, and standing behind you as your shield. Finally, engrave this deeply in your heart. The mockery of people does not change who I am. The ridicule of the world does not diminish my power, and the doubt of the majority cannot hinder the plan I set in place before time began. I am the Most High. I am all-powerful, and what I do will be brought to completion. Stand firm, my beloved. Walk in humility without bowing your head. Speak when I tell you to speak, and remain silent when I tell you to be silent. Let your life, rather than your arguments, become the answer to mockery. And when the day comes, when the truth is made plain, you will see that not a single voice of ridicule ever had the power to stop what I have done through you. My beloved child, stand firm, not by your own strength, nor by the hardness of human will, but by being deeply anchored in relationship with me. There are moments on the journey of faith when what matters most is not running fast, nor speaking loudly, but standing firm while everything around you is shaking. Stand firm when the noise increases. Stand firm when opposing currents of thought pull at your heart. Stand firm when you cannot yet see the whole picture, yet still choose to trust the one who holds the pen and is writing that picture. Keep your eyes lifted toward the heavens, not to escape reality, but to remember that reality does not end with what is before your eyes. When you look up, you are reminded that there is an order higher than the chaos on the earth, an authority above the voices competing for your attention. And place your heart in my hands, for eyes can be distracted, but a heart set in the right place is not easily deceived. When your heart is in my hands, I keep it from growing calloused, from bitterness, from fear that would distort your discernment. The days ahead, my beloved, will not be simple. They will require from you a deeper alertness than you have needed before. You will not only face clear right and wrong, but subtle gray areas where lies dress themselves as truth, where darkness masquerades as light, where illusion is presented as reality. Not everything that sounds reasonable comes from me. Not everything that stirs strong emotion carries truth. Therefore, you will need discernment not merely of the mind, but of a soul refined through closeness with me. Discernment is a gift, but it is also a responsibility. I will guide you, step by step, not overwhelming you with the entire path, but giving you enough light for the next step. I will lead you thought by thought, teaching you to recognize which thoughts carry peace even when they challenge you, and which carry pressure even when they seem appealing. I will walk with you in every decision, those small ones no one sees, and those great ones that can alter your direction. But, my beloved, this guidance does not function like an automatic machine. It requires your cooperation, a listening heart, a disciplined mind, and a prayer life that is not neglected. Remain watchful, for the enemy is not as foolish as many imagine. He is cunning. He does not always pull you off the path with blatant temptation. Often he needs only to shift you slightly, a misdirected thought, a misplaced priority, a weariness that dulls your alertness. He knows you do not have to fall into great wrongdoing to lose your way. Sometimes losing clarity is enough. I do not warn you so that you will be afraid, but so that you will not be naive. The watchfulness I desire in you is not anxiety, but clarity. My beloved, there will be times when you feel weary from constant discernment, from repeatedly weighing whether something comes from me or not. Remember that this weariness is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of growth. Those who sleep are not tired because they do not keep watch. Those who are alert grow tired because they care, and it is precisely in that care that I give renewed strength. When you bring your weariness to me, I do not reproach you, I sustain you. I do not require perfection from you. I ask for faithfulness to return each time you sense you are about to drift. I know the world is flooded with information, opinions, predictions, and conflicting promises. Each one wants you to believe it is the final truth. But, my beloved, truth does not compete. Truth stands. Light does not need to shout. Light simply exists. When you remain close to me, you will recognize the difference. You will feel a quiet steadiness when what comes from me touches your heart, even when it calls you to change, even to sacrifice. What does not come from me, though it may seem urgent or reasonable, often carries haste, heaviness, and the feeling that you must decide immediately or lose everything. Guard your inner life like a carefully tended garden. Not every seed that drifts in should be allowed to remain. Some thoughts must be uprooted as soon as they begin to take root. Thoughts that doubt my love. Thoughts of pride claiming you do not need me. Thoughts of despair whispering that all effort is futile. When such thoughts are left unchecked, they grow and obscure your vision. But when you recognize them early and bring them into the light, they lose their power, my beloved child. Remember, this discernment does not separate you from the world. It enables you to walk within the world without being swallowed by it. I do not call you to flee from reality. I call you to step into reality with light. You will encounter people who are sincere yet misguided, intelligent yet lacking humility, passionate yet not rightly guided. Do not despise them, and do not let them lead you. Love them with truth, and guard yourself in truth through love. I will lead you, my beloved, but you must choose to trust that leading each day. There will be days when you see clearly, and days when everything feels blurred. Do not panic in the blurred days. Light sufficient for one step is still light. I do not promise that you will always understand everything. I promise that you will not be abandoned in what you do not understand. When you walk in obedience without full clarity, you place yourself in the safest position, the place nearest to me. Stand firm. Even when you feel as though you are standing alone, keep your eyes lifted toward the heavens. Even when many around you look only at the ground, place your heart in my hands. Even when you are tempted to grip everything by your own strength, the days ahead will test your discernment, but they will also bring your faithfulness into clearer light. And through each right choice, no matter how small, you will find yourself being guided more precisely than you expect. My beloved child, trust me even when the path before you is veiled in mist, even when each step seems to lack familiar signposts. Faith was not born to walk alongside absolute sensory certainty, but to take my hand and move through the unknown. I know your human heart longs for clarity, wants to see the whole picture before stepping forward. But my child, what I am arranging goes beyond the measuring capacity of the human mind. It is not fragmented, not random, not lacking. It is complete, and above all, it is woven for your good, not merely immediate benefit, but a deeper good that reaches your identity, your purpose, and eternal life. There will be moments when you ask, why do I not yet see a way out? Why do you seem silent? But I am not silent. I am working at deeper levels. I do not rush to reveal my plans, because I am protecting you from the burden of knowing too much too soon. Like a skilled craftsman, I lay the foundation before raising the walls. I prepare the roots before allowing the branches to grow high. The dark stretches you pass through are not signs of abandonment, but corridors of formation. It is there that your faith is refined, no longer resting on fleeting emotions, but anchored in a steadfast relationship with me, my beloved. The time will come when you will witness events that leave many astonished. What was once considered stable will be shaken. Structures built on human pride will reveal their cracks. Nations will rise with seemingly unstoppable strength, only to decline when their appointed time passes. Leaders will be unsettled not only by external pressure, but by the exposure of their hearts. Carefully calculated plans will be overturned in an instant, reminding humanity that ultimate control does not rest in their hands. Amid these upheavals, you may hear confusion spreading, fear passing from one person to another like a cold wind. Many will run in search of security in places that cannot truly keep them safe. But my beloved, you will notice something different. You will see the hand of the Almighty at work. You may not always understand how I act, but you will recognize my fingerprints in perfect timing, in quiet protection, in doors closed to prevent harm, and in pathways opened when no one expects them. You will see that behind every shaking there is an arrangement, Behind every collapse, there is an invitation to return to what is true. Trust me, my beloved, for your foundation is not set upon things that can change. You do not build your life on human promises, on the false stability of the times, or on the fragile strength of earthly power. You have placed your foundation in me, the one who does not change, who is never taken by surprise, who does not depend on the approval of the many. When the winds blow fiercely, the house built on sand will shake, but the house built on rock will stand firm. I am that rock, and you are standing on me, my beloved. Standing firm does not mean you will never feel fear. Standing firm is choosing not to let fear lead you. It is anchoring your heart in truth, even when your emotions surge. It is continuing to pray when prayers seem unanswered. It is remaining faithful in small things when greater things have not yet arrived. I see each of those quiet choices, and I use them to reinforce your foundation. You may witness changes that cause you pain, relationships fracturing, unjust systems being exposed, values turned upside down. I do not dismiss that pain. I am present in every sigh you breathe, in every tear you shed in silence. But remember, my beloved, I do not allow pain to have the final word. I use it to awaken conscience, to purify motives, to draw you closer to me. And when you are close to me, you do not merely endure upheaval, you are transformed through it. Trust me, even when the path ahead is not yet clear, for true clarity does not come from seeing every turn in advance, but from knowing who walks with you. I do not promise you a detailed map of the future. I promise you my presence in every step. The light I give is sufficient for today, and tomorrow will have the light appointed for tomorrow. Anxiety about the future often tries to steal the light of the present. Do not allow it. Live fully in today, with the confidence that I am holding tomorrow. My beloved child, when nations rise and fall, when leaders are shaken, when human plans are overturned, you will not need to chase rumors or panic at predictions. You will have discernment to know what requires your attention and what must be entrusted to me. You will have peace that keeps you from being swept into collective fear, and you will have the courage to stand on the side of truth, even when that truth is unpopular. Trust me, for what I am arranging is not only for your own good, but through you to reach others. When you stand firm, you become a support for those who are unsteady. When you keep peace, you become a sign in the midst of chaos. When you remain faithful, you open a pathway for light to spread. I do not need you to be loud. I need you to be steady. I do not need you to persuade everyone. I need you to live faithfully to what I have planted within you. My beloved child, engrave this in your heart. Events will come and go. Power will shift, and human plans will be tested. But I remain who I am, and you, when you set your foundation in me, will not be swept away. You will stand firm, not because you are stronger than others, but because you are upheld by the one who never grows weary. You will stand firm, not because you understand everything, but because you trust completely. My beloved child, do not fear what is ahead. Fear is often born of the unknown. But I tell you this, there is nothing before you that I have not already walked through. Before you set foot on that road, I have gone ahead, examined every turn, and prepared the place where you will stand secure. Therefore, when you sense the wind changing, when the rhythm of time seems to quicken, remember that I do not lead you into confusion. I lead you through, and I lead you to where you need to arrive. My presence does not wait at the end of the road. It is with you in every step you take. Do not doubt the signs you are seeing, for they are not a meaningless chain of coincidences. They are a language, the language of divine guidance, written not only in words, but in the very breath of creation. When you notice repeated alignments, timely reminders, doors closing in order to open another direction, this is not a game of chance. It is the way I speak to you with subtlety, beyond familiar patterns of reasoning. This language is not loud, but consistent, not coercive, but clear to the one who is willing to listen. Be diligent, my beloved child. Diligence is not haste, it is faithfulness. It is not about doing more, but about doing what is right. Diligence is waking each day with a ready heart, keeping the inner lamp burning even as the skies outside change color. There will be days when you see no results, keep sowing. There will be days when you are weary, remain faithful. Diligence in small things will become great strength when the time arrives. Keep watch and pray without ceasing. Watchfulness is not living in tension, but living in alertness. Prayer is not a string of prolonged words, but an ongoing relationship like breath sustaining life. When you keep watch, you do not let your heart drift with the noise. When you pray, you set the rhythm of your heart within my own. It is there that discernment is sharpened and peace is restored. Bear witness to the signs not through display, but through life itself. The most powerful testimony does not come from debate, but from steadfastness. When you choose light in the midst of darkness, you speak without words. When you keep peace amid chaos, you point the way. When you remain faithful in love amid bitterness, you reflect who I am. A world growing darker does not need more noise. It needs people who carry a light steady enough not to be extinguished by the wind. My beloved child, you have been chosen not for self-exaltation, but for service, chosen to see what others do not see, not because you are more intelligent, but because you are willing to pause, chosen to understand what others overlook, not because you are superior, but because you listen, chosen to act when many are paralyzed by fear, not because you feel no fear, but because you do not allow fear to take the helm. This choosing is a gift, and it is also a responsibility, the responsibility to keep a humble heart, to walk in obedience, and to keep the light from being hidden. There will be times when you find yourself standing between two pulls on one side, familiar safety on the other, the call to move forward. That call may not promise ease, but it carries life. Remember that false safety often numbs, while living obedience opens the way. I am not calling you to recklessness. I am calling you to trust. Trust does not discard wisdom. It places wisdom where it belongs, under my light. When you face words of doubt, whether they come from the outside or from within your own heart, return to what is foundational. I have gone before you. This changes everything. It means you are not stepping into uncharted territory. It means the challenges have already been measured, and grace has already been apportioned. It means that when you are weary, I have prepared a place of rest when you lose your bearings. I have set markers when you are afraid. I have already extended my hand to take hold of you. Let signs guide you, not obsess you. Do not chase after them as goals in themselves, but allow them to lead you back to the one who speaks through them. Signs do not replace relationship, they serve relationship. When you keep this in view, you will neither wander into empty curiosity nor miss the guidance you truly need. You will walk with the freedom of one who is led, not the anxiety of one who must guess. My beloved, the world may grow harsher, voices may become sharper, and the pace of life may press harder. But light does not need to be louder than darkness. Light only needs to be present. I am calling you to be such a bearer of light, not loud, not showy, but steadfast. Steadfast in truth, steadfast in love, steadfast in hope. When you remain steadfast, light spreads in the most natural way. There will be moments when you must choose to act while others stand still. Not to act in panic, but in obedience. Not to act to prove yourself, but to serve. I will show you when it is time to speak, and when it is time to be silent, when it is time to move forward, and when it is time to wait. Trust that guidance, for it does not come from impulse, but from wisdom forged within relationship. My beloved, do not fear the future. Do not doubt the signs. Do not shrink back from responsibility. Be diligent. Be watchful. Be prayerful. Bear witness through your life, and carry light into the darkest places, beginning with the small, hidden corners of your own life. You were not chosen to carry the whole world. You were chosen to be faithful in your portion. And when you are faithful, I take care of the rest. Walk on, for the way is opening. Lift your eyes, for guidance is coming. Stand firm, for I am with you. And while many are paralyzed by fear, you will move in peace, while many lose their way in illusion. You will discern in truth, while many sink into darkness. You will shine not with your own light, but with the light I have placed within you, to illuminate at the right time, in the right place, according to my will. My beloved child, listen slowly and deeply, for what I am speaking to you in this moment is not a general word of comfort, but an affirmation of the unique position in which I have placed you. Your role is pivotal not because you stand out in the crowd, not because you possess power or influence as the world defines them, but because you are standing in the right place within the flow of my purpose. There are doors that open only when you step forward. There are links that are joined only when you say yes. And there are blessings already prepared, waiting for your obedience to be released, not only for you, but for people you have never met, for souls still wandering in darkness, not yet knowing my truth. Obedience, my beloved, is not blind surrender, but mature trust. It is choosing to follow even when you do not yet understand fully, choosing what is right even when it brings no applause, choosing faithfulness even when results do not appear at once. The world values visible achievement. I value a willing heart, and when your heart is willing, I use that obedience as a key to open things beyond human calculation. There are blessings that cannot be activated by talent, by effort, or by strategy. They are opened only by sincere obedience. My beloved, do not underestimate the impact of quiet choices. A word spoken at the right moment, a necessary silence, a decision to hold to truth rather than compromise. These carry a reach you cannot measure. I am working through you in ways you cannot see. I am weaving your life together with the lives of others, so that when the time comes, light may pass from one to another. Your obedience today may become the answer to someone else's prayer tomorrow. Amid all the mysteries unfolding, amid the movements that leave people unsettled, I do not want you to forget one essential thing: joy can still be found. That joy does not come from everything being easy, but from my presence. It does not depend on the stability of circumstances, but on the steadiness of relationship. Even when the heavens shake and the earth trembles, joy is not erased, it is refined. It becomes deeper, quieter, yet enduring, like an underground spring that does not run dry even when the surface is parched. Top of form, bottom of form, I grant you a peace that surpasses all understanding. Not a shallow peace built on everything seeming fine, but a peace that stands firm in the midst of instability. This peace does not deny reality, it rises above it. It keeps your heart from being swept away by collective fear, from being crushed by bad news, from being paralyzed by dark predictions. When you sense this peace, you are touching something the world cannot give and cannot take away. Smile, my beloved child, not because the world is safe, but because I am with you. That smile is not naive, it is powerful. It is a quiet declaration that you know whose hands you are in. It is a small light, yet enough to dispel the nearest darkness. When you smile in the storm, you are not denying the strong winds. You are affirming a firm foundation, and that foundation is me. Rejoice, not because there are no trials, but because the presence of my Spirit is within you. That Spirit does not merely comfort, He gives strength. He does not only guide, He protects. He does not merely whisper, He acts. When you are weak, He lifts you. When you are confused, He illuminates. When you are afraid, He steadies your heart. Joy comes from knowing that you do not face trials alone. You step into them with the one who is stronger than everything you must face. My beloved, time is urgent not to drive you into panic, but to awaken you. Urgency does not mean haste. Urgency means right priorities. It means knowing what must be done first and what can wait. It means not postponing obedience with reasonable excuses. It means not allowing today's comfort to steal tomorrow's opportunity. I do not say this to pressure you. I say it to free you from the paralysis of delay. There are doors that will not remain open forever. There are moments that come only once. And there are invitations that, if ignored, will require a long journey before they return. Therefore, keep your heart sensitive. Listen quickly and respond in time, not in panic, but in trust. When you move in step with my rhythm, you will be neither late nor early. You will be on time. My beloved, your pivotal role does not place a burden on your shoulders. It gives meaning to every step you take. It reminds you that your life does not pass by unnoticed. Every day of obedience, every choice of love, every act of faithfulness contributes to what I am doing in this world. I do not need you to do everything. I need you to do your part. And when you do your part, I do what only I can do. Do not let the seriousness of the times rob you of joy. Do not let urgency harden your heart. I call you to walk in holy balance, serious about the mission, yet gentle in spirit, alert to the signs, yet resting in my presence. That balance is the strongest testimony that you are not swept along by the world, but anchored in me. Remember that blessing is not only what you receive, it is what you become. When you obey, you become a channel. When you rejoice, you become a source of encouragement. When you are at peace, you become a refuge. This is how I am using you, not to exhaust you, but to fill you. For when you are in me, giving does not drain you, giving makes you rich. My beloved, move forward with the smile of one who knows they are loved. Obey with the freedom of one who trusts. Rejoice with the depth of one who understands that trials do not have the final word. And walk through this urgent time with a peaceful heart. For my Spirit is within you, giving strength when you are weak, guiding you when you cannot yet see clearly, and protecting you until everything I have ordained is fulfilled. My beloved child, prepare your heart as a craftsman prepares his hands before touching delicate work. Do not let your heart be loose or scattered, torn apart by fragmented worries, by the noise of the world, by pursuits that make you run without time to breathe. Gather the scattered pieces of your soul and bring them under my light, so that you may become whole. For in this special season, I am not seeking momentary excitement, but lasting steadiness. I am not looking for a heart that flares up and then grows cold, but for a heart that burns, steadily enduring, faithful, whether in the night or in the day, whether in ease or under trial. Strengthen your faith. My beloved, faith is not a pleasant feeling, nor is it polished words spoken when your heart is calm. Faith is a root that grows deep when storms arise. It is clinging to me when you have not yet seen results. It is choosing to believe that I am still at work, even when you cannot see my hand. There will be days when you stand between two voices, one calling you to trust, another whispering doubt. In those days, you must strengthen your faith, not by self-reassurance, but by returning to my word, to what I have done before, to the marks of faithfulness I have already engraved in your life. Faith is built from the memory of grace and presence. It is reinforced through prayer and obedience. Top of form, bottom of form, sharpen your mind. I say this not to make you suspicious or closed off, but to make you clear-sighted. This season will be filled with voices, filled with false directions, filled with things wrapped in attractive packaging yet leading to distortion. Some words will sound perfectly reasonable, yet they will not carry life. Some ideas will look right, yet they will pull you away from love and truth. So, my beloved, keep your mind like a well-tended sword, not rusted by laziness, not dulled by compromise, not bent by fear. Learn to ask the right questions. Learn to slow down so you can discern. Learn to refuse whatever causes you to lose your peace. Watch the heavens, follow the signs, and discern the message I am sending. But, my child, do it with the right posture. Do not chase what is strange. Do not hunt for the sensational. Do not let yourself be swept into a whirlpool of speculation. I am not calling you to become someone who panics at every shift. I am calling you to become someone who recognizes the appointed time. Signs are not the goal, they are markers that remind you, I am moving. That order still stands. That sovereignty has not slipped from my hand. When you look up, let your heart also bow down. Bow in humility. For discernment is given to the heart that knows reverent fear. There are messages that come not only through great events, but through very small things, an unusual quietness, a coincidence that happens at the exact moment, a casual sentence that touches the very point you need, a gentle yet persistent urging within you. My beloved, I speak in many ways, and I know you can hear. I have placed in you a sensitivity not so you will be afraid, but so you will be guided. When you focus, when you become still before me, when you do not rush, you will recognize those directions like small lamps in the night, not lighting the whole sky, but enough for you to take the next step. Be bold to speak my truth. But remember, boldness is not the same as harshness. I do not need you to use truth as a weapon to wound others. I want you to use truth as light to expose, to set free, and to heal. There will be times you must speak, even when you know your words may not be welcomed. There will be times you must be silent, because words that are right but mistimed become noise. So the boldness I require from you always walks with wisdom. Speak when I tell you to speak, and speak with love. When you speak with love, your words carry weight. When you speak with pride, your words become empty. Act with courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is obeying what I have spoken even while your heart trembles. There are actions I will call you to take that need no stage, no praise, no witnesses. Sometimes it is simply choosing to stand with truth in a conversation, choosing forgiveness instead of holding on to resentment, choosing faithfulness in a responsibility that seems small, choosing to step away from what is dragging you down. Those actions are true courage because they require you to sacrifice the self, to lay down comfort, and to trust that I know what I am doing. Do not let temptation or the world's fear make you waver. Temptation does not always appear as something plainly evil. Sometimes it appears as a shortcut. It promises faster, easier, safer. It tells you that you do not need to wait for me, do not need to obey, do not need to keep your heart clean. It urges you to compromise just a little so you can get what you want. But My beloved, shortcuts often lead you far from the purpose, and fear does the same. Fear makes you shrink back, makes you delay, makes you trade your calling for temporary calm. I do not condemn you for feeling afraid, but I am calling you not to let fear govern you. My beloved, I will continue this message in the next part. I will expand into deeper revelations, into the unveiling of the divine plan, and into specific guidance for your life in this special season. But before you step into that, I want you to remember this: every revelation I give has the purpose of transforming your life, not merely making you know more. I do not want you to become someone who collects spiritual things in the mind, yet remains unchanged in action. I want you to become someone who lives by the light you are given, so that light will bear fruit. Listen very carefully. My beloved, what I am about to speak is not only a word for the ear to hear, but a word that touches the roots of who you are. It will touch the way you see the world, the way you see yourself, the way you love, the way you decide, and the way you walk through days of upheaval. It flows from realms beyond what your eyes can reach. Yet it touches every part of the reality you are living, from the smallest things within your home to the largest choices that shape your direction. So prepare your heart like good soil, uproot the weeds of distraction, soften the ground with humility, water it with prayer, and guard it with obedience. Strengthen your faith like one laying a foundation. Place each brick of faithfulness upon another, never overlooking what seems small. Sharpen your mind like a watchman. Stay awake, discern, and do not let noise drown out my voice. Observe, follow, understand, then act, not in haste, but in my rhythm. Loving Father, I come before you in the weariness of a heart that has passed through much noise. I confess that there are days when I breathe too quickly, think too much, worry too much, and allow the clamor of life to drown out your gentle whisper. But now, I choose to stop. I lay down the thoughts racing in my mind, the plans that have no answers yet, and even the fears I cannot name. Please grant me a moment of true stillness, so I may remember what I so often forget. I have never been alone, and I have never been left on the margins of your care. Father, if your love comes without noise, teach me to recognize it in the small things: a steadier heartbeat, a deeper breath, a sense of being covered when I feel exposed to life. When I do not feel you, do not let me hastily conclude that you are absent. Remind me that sometimes my heart is too tired, too full, to make room for gentleness. Please soften what is hard within me, so I do not live by reflex, but by presence, present with you, present with truth, present with my own soul. And Father, even as I read these words, let me know that this is not an ordinary moment. Let me recognize that you are near, nearer than I imagine. May that nearness be more than an idea. May it become an anchor, a place where I stop panicking, stop running, stop forcing myself to hold everything together. I return to you, like a child returning to the arms of a father who never grows weary of loving. Father, I hear your call to be watchful, yet I confess that I often confuse watchfulness with tension and alertness with anxiety. I ask you to separate within me what belongs to light and what belongs to fear. Grant me a watchfulness filled with peace, so I can stand firm amid rising waves without losing a tender heart. Father, I know that time seems to be moving faster, and upheavals feel closer. But I ask you not to let me become someone who lives in gloomy anticipation. Teach me to live in holy preparation, not preparation that hoards anxiety, but preparation that cultivates faith. Help me understand that prayer is not an escape from reality, but a way of facing reality in your light. When life knocks insistently at the door of my heart, teach me to pause, to return, and to let you reorder what is within me. Father, place an anchor in my soul, so that even when information overlaps, rumors surge, and emotions rise and fall, I am not swept away. Help me know that peace does not mean the absence of wind, but your presence in the boat. Make me alert in discernment, yet gentle, so I do not become rigid. I want to see clearly without losing hope, to stay watchful while preserving love. Teach me, Father, to choose each day to listen to you rather than to fear, to trust rather than to close my heart, to stay awake rather than drift into the sleep of habit. And when I am weak, remind me that you are not seeking perfection. You are seeking an honest heart that turns back to you. Father, I am living amid too many sounds, the sound of news, opinions, comparisons, pressure to decide quickly, judgment, and doubt. I fear that if I am not careful, I will hear everything and yet miss your voice. Grant me the gift of discernment, not a discernment based on fleeting feelings, but one grounded in your spirit within me. Father, there are moments when I feel restless without knowing why, wakeful without understanding the cause, uneasy even when everything appears normal. Teach me not to see these stirrings as weakness, but as bells calling me home. Help me recognize this: what comes from you may challenge me, but it will carry a deep peace. What comes from darkness often carries urgency, pressure, and the feeling that I must act immediately or lose everything. Illuminate, Father, the small decisions I often overlook, for I know the greatest battles usually unfold quietly in thoughts and emotions. Guard my mind from negative cycles, from self-condemning words, from the weariness that makes me give up before I can see the path you are opening. Teach me when to be silent and when to speak, when to wait and when to step through a door, when to release what you are removing, and when to hold fast to what you have entrusted to me. Father, I offer to you my spiritual ears. Open my ears so that I may hear your voice in the silence. Open my eyes so that I may see the depth behind what appears on the surface. Shape my heart so that I do not run with the crowd, but walk in your rhythm. I belong to you. Teach me to listen to you as the very breath of my soul. Father, I hear of the tremors of this age, structures shaking, orders reversing, things once thought secure, revealing their cracks. I confess that at times my heart trembles, yet even in that trembling, let me remember this: you are not caught by surprise. You are not alarmed. You still reign, and nothing escapes your attention. Help me stand firm, not by my own hardness, but by holding fast to you when I do not understand the reasons for upheaval. Teach me to trust that you are refining in order to redeem, exposing in order to heal, dismantling in order to restore. Do not let me cling to what you are gently taking away. Give me the courage to say yes to your process, even when I cannot yet see the shape of what is new. Father, when others panic and react in haste, let me be one who keeps a steady, peaceful breath. When others are swept away by rumors, anchor me in the truth. When others despair, make me a sign of hope, not through empty promises, but through a life that stands firm. Make me a refuge of peace for those around me, so that your presence within me speaks louder than all the noise. Father, I acknowledge that there are battles I cannot see, yet I can feel them in my thoughts, in my emotions, in prolonged weariness, in the temptation to give up. I know the enemy does not need to strike with a heavy blow. It only needs to wear me down, distract me, and make me forget that you are near. Guard my mind from deceitful whispers that I am small, that life is meaningless, that hope is a luxury. That prayer changes nothing. Remind me that my strength does not lie in controlling everything, but in trusting you. When I find myself trying to prop myself up, to explain everything, to carry everything alone, remind me that I was created to live in union with you. Teach me to ask you before I rush, to listen to you before I react, to place you at the center before the storm pulls me away. Father, stop the stream of negative thoughts that repeat like an old song. Replace them with your word, not merely for pleasant hearing, but for faithful living. Grant me perseverance, for I know the enemy fears most the perseverance of one who continues to trust you without yet understanding. Help me see that many things which once frightened me were only their shadows, and that many doors I thought were tightly locked require only the key of obedience. Father, renew spiritual discipline within me without turning it into a burden. Teach me to pray as I breathe, not as an obligation. Teach me to listen like a watchman on the wall, awake, attentive, never careless, never leaving the gates open to destructive thoughts. Teach me to lay one brick of faith each day, so that when the day of testing comes, I will not fall, and when the day of opportunity arrives, I will not hesitate. Father, if the season of concealment is closing and the season of unveiling is beginning, keep my heart rightly positioned. I know that when light shines, many things will be exposed, many hidden corners revealed, and not everyone will rejoice. Some will tremble in fear. Some will grow angry as their hiding places disappear. Some will panic as what they trusted collapses. Do not let me become a judge, but a discerner. Keep my heart soft so that I do not grow cold toward the pain of others. Give me strength to stand in the truth, and gentleness to love with your love. Help me remember that truth may wound at first, but it is the path that leads to healing. Do not let me drink the bitterness of this age and turn it into harshness in my words. Grant me peace to remain silent when needed, and wisdom to speak when you prompt me. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. And do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so that together we may build a strong and growing community of faith.